Start recording. I hope it's recording. Yes, it says it's recording. Okay, great. Well, welcome everybody. This is I'm Miss Earley, of course you know that. And this is our class today. We have a guest speaker and, we just had a journalism expo yesterday on campus at DVC where over 170 students got to meet industry leaders and hear them talk about their craft and how they got started. And so today is just an extension of that because we have another industry leader who will be talking to us. And I'm actually going to introduce him. First of all, can you all hear me really good? Hear me okay? Okay, good. I'm going to introduce you to him by reading an email that he wrote me back in May. So this is what he wrote. He said, "Hi, Professor Earley. I hope all is well. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I took your Journal 110 Mass Media of Communications course in the spring of 2020. I recently reconnected with one of my former professors at DVC, and he mentioned that it would be a good idea to update some more of my former professors at DVC. I'm really happy to be sharing this update with you since your class was my introduction to the communications field and my introduction to journalism. Just less than 2 weeks ago, I graduated from SI Newhouse School of Public Communications, which is Syracuse University, with a BS in broadcast and digital journalism. And in July, I'll be starting as a multimedia journalist at 7 News WKBW in Buffalo, New York. My professor also mentioned that the school really enjoys bringing back former students as guest speakers, and I remember that was one of the main components of your class. So if you're looking for a guest speaker, I'd be happy to join your class over Zoom one day. Best regards, and welcome, Adam Campos." Someone's trying to call me right now. Let me just shut that down. No, I don't know who that is. Okay, great. So let me just make sure that any more students are trying to come in because I had to give them acceptance. And yeah, it looks like we're good. Adam, take it away. Thank you for joining us today.
Perfect. Appreciate you for having me, Professor, and everybody. I appreciate you guys for hopping on to this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I just did a little presentation because I'm going to show some of my work that I've been able to do here at Buffalo since I got here. So, and it'll be easier to follow for me too. So let's see, just move everyone down. Cool. So hello, everyone. My name is Adam Campos. I am originally from the San Francisco Bay Area, and I currently am a morning reporter at 7 News WKBW in Buffalo, New York. It is the ABC affiliate local station here in Western New York. So let me move on. If it lets me. There we go. So just a few notes about me. Born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you guys know Hercules, some people do, some people don't. I'm originally from Hercules. I went to St. Joseph Notre Dame High School in Alameda. Varsity athlete there, didn't do anything media related or anything. We didn't have a newspaper. We didn't have anything like that. Maybe the closest was yearbook. So mainly focused on athletics there. When I got to Diablo Valley College for my freshman and sophomore year, that's when I kind of started getting into journalism with my classes with Professor Earley and a few of the other major courses that they have at DVC. And I was also a part of the men's basketball team for 1 year there. And then I remember in the middle of our course, Professor Earley, the pandemic hit. So we went online. So we didn't really get to have a full in-person experience or a full class experience, if you could really say it, because that was crazy. I remember that. Everybody was kind of scattered. So I wish we would have had the full year or my full time on campus at DVC. And then after DVC, I transferred to Syracuse University. I went to the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications and just recently graduated with a BS in broadcast and digital journalism. And I minored in sociology. And from DVC, that's taking my sociology courses. That's why I decided to minor in sociology, because I got really into them when I was at DVC. So that's just a little rundown about me. Just to show some of my experience that I've gotten so far, since a lot of it came once I got to Syracuse. So first, we have a student-run television station on campus, which was really, really cool because that allowed me right there on campus, hands-on, to be able to dive into the world of television. So there I served as an anchor, a reporter for on-air talent. And then I also served behind the scenes as a producer, both an associate producer and executive producer for a few news shows. So that was really fun. Because really that's where I kind of got my base of everything to in broadcast, learning the basic fundamentals of it. And then going forward after my junior year at Syracuse, I dabbled into print a little bit. I realized quickly, though, after doing my stint in print, that it wasn't for me. I was more into the talking side. I was more into broadcast, working with video and stuff like that. But this was still really fun. I was a contributing writer for the Warriors Talk. Some of you, if you guys are Warriors fan, you might have heard of them. They're just an independent multimedia site that covers the Warriors. And what was cool about them, I got to cover them when the Warriors won back in 2022. So we got to do a lot of fun pieces during that season. And then later on that summer, I landed an internship at CNN as an editorial operations intern in Atlanta, Georgia. So I got to work at the headquarters of CNN. And I got to pretty much work as an associate producer for the shows. I got to work with 3 different shows, including CNN Newsroom with Pamela Brown, CNN Newsroom with Anna Cabrera, and Inside Politics with John King. And those were surreal experiences. It was crazy, especially since the fact I didn't have any experience in broadcast at all. The fact to land that, I was really lucky. And it really helped me find an understanding of what storytelling is, what news is, and to better gather news. So that was a really helpful internship, because it also gave me, even though I've always wanted to be on air, it gave me that producing side. I've gotten to see it local, and then there I got to see it on the national level. And I'll just say it's crazy what goes into just putting on, let alone 30 minutes, 3 hours of programming, since a lot of the shows at CNN now, they run for 3 hours. So that was really fun, especially the connections I was able to make. So that was good. And then that led me to my position now. I am currently the morning reporter at WKBW TV in Buffalo, New York. And that will lead into my next slide. So as a morning reporter, what happens? 4 a.m. That's what time my shift starts. I'm up at 2:30 getting ready, more like 2:45, 3 o'clock. I get into the station at 4. And from there's a whole bunch of different things that I could be doing that day. So it all depends on what my assignment is. I executing up to 4 live shots for 2 hours of programming that we have. So we go live from 5 to 7 o'clock in the morning. And there I could be doing live interviews. Like this morning, I did 4 live interviews, all spread throughout the 2 hours. So one each half hour. That was really fun. We were doing a story on an organization called Feed More Western New York. They're having one of the biggest drives of their year, food drives of the year. So we got to talk to a few people from that. So that was really fun. Live tosses, that's just me tossing into some pre-recorded work that I've done, that I've already put together a script and had done interviews for. You'll see 2 examples of those. Another responsibility of mine is to create what's called packages. So if you're ever watching a newscast and you hear an anchor say, if we were to take an example back home, ABC7 news reporter, whoever it is, has the story, just leave it at that. That extension of that, where you have the reporter talking and you see all the video with the interviews, that's what a package is. So I will one-man band those as an MMJ, as a multimedia journalist. So I schedule and conduct the interviews. I go meet the people that I need to for the interviews, and I record the interviews. I record the extra video that goes on top of the packages, which is called B-roll. And then I come back to the station, or I come back home. I'll write and voice my scripts. So I'll look back at the footage of the interviews, and then that's kind of what helps me guide through writing the scripts. And then once I voice it, I have it finalized, I put that into my editing system, and then I edit the video on top of it. And then that's what creates the full package. And then for any of my stories that I do, I have to write web articles. I attach the videos from either my live shots or the videos of the packages that I created. I attach that all to the web. And then that's pretty much what my day responsibility looks like. And then that really usually runs up till about 9 o'clock, 9:30, I want to say. And then after that, from 9:30 to 12:30, I leave that time for me to go do some of these interviews, or to start scheduling other stories, or to look for other stories. So it's typically a day combined with day of responsibilities and future planning. So it is a lot. I will say it is this industry. It's great being on television. It's fun. It's a perk to it, but you learn quickly that the glam comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of grinding. And you ultimately realize that the TV part, it's great. But once you kind of get into the midst of it and you're kind of over that shock of being on television, you realize one, it's your job. You got to take care of business. Two, you're telling other people's stories. So anytime that you're able to give a highlight to a business, a highlight to an individual, you're able to hold major figures, like especially in politics or company owners, CEOs, whoever it may be. If you're able to hold people in power accountable, that's a huge part of it. So there's just so many elements to it that you realize the work you're doing is for the better good of a lot of people. And that's really, even though this is a grind of a schedule, I've been up since 3 o'clock this morning. I mean, it's worth it every morning to be able to do it. So just to give a few examples. So this is a live interview that I did. I'll play it before I'll explain. So what we started to do is we are starting to do some more community work and actually going out into like schools and everything like that. And me and one of our anchors, she called what it's called field anchoring. She came out with me as a reporter, and we did live interviews at a high school that just recently won their state championship for volleyball. The women's volleyball team just won their state championship. And before their championship weekend, where they played the semifinal and final games, we held a early morning pep rally with them, where we invited them onto the show. We invited their parents. We did interviews with some of the players and some of the parents, and then we had live look-ins all throughout the morning. And it was really fun. And we've gotten to do a few of those segments, and it's probably the most fun that I've had so far in my short 4 months. So I'll kind of show this real quick just so you guys can see kind of the process behind what the live interviews look like.
Oh, I don't think we're hearing it.
Are you not?
No. Students, can you hear? No.
Let's see. Can you hear it?
No.
We heard it last night, didn't we?
I know, yes. I'm not sure
Okay.
what's going on.
Let me
check your audio maybe on your screen.
Let me see. Because I hear it through my headphones.
Okay.
Let me see real quick. Hold on, y'all.
Okay.
Bear with me. This is welcome to trying to deal with technology. Y'all know how this goes.
We did a test run last night and it worked just fine.
Yeah, that's like I said, that's weird. Let me make sure it's just not something on my Zoom settings. Share.
Also, students, in the meantime, think of questions that you might have for Adam while he's talking. I've already written 2 down. So when we get to the end of his presentation, we can open that up for Q&A, and you can ask him, pretty much anything.
Yeah, and if anybody needs me to slow down at all, I know I'm kind of talking fast. Also, bear with me. This is the first time I've done like a presentation with coming back as a professional. You said, "Oh, industry leader." That's kind of stretching it, but I'll take it. So
well, you're someone in the industry, and that makes you a leader.
Which I appreciate. So let's see if this works.
6:46, it's a big day for St. Mary's High School in Lancaster. Both the girls' soccer and volleyball teams are playing this weekend, hoping to win a state title. 7 News anchor Katie Morse is there live for us this morning with Adam Campos. We see Jaden's mom right behind you. Katie, what an exciting day.
It sure is a big day for everyone here at St. Mary's. We're with the volleyball team this morning. And Ed, the bus to States leaves at 8 o'clock. These girls are getting ready. Moms and dads are getting ready. And Adam Campos is here this morning talking to some of the seniors because we know this is such a big year for these girls, Adam.
Absolutely, it is, Katie. And not only is this team going for a state title, they're going for their 3rd straight title, their 20th overall as a program, and they are the #1 team in the state. Let me hear it. And now joining us are 2 senior captains. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Gwen McCarthy. I'm a senior outside hitter.
I'm Carson Tyler. I'm a senior outside hitter.
And just tell me, not 1, not 2, but the chance for 3 state titles in your high school career. Just tell me, how does that sound?
I mean, it's insane. Like, I never would have imagined that this would have been happening when I came into high school. It's truly amazing to know that all of our hard work that we put in is finally paying off, and we have a chance for another state title. I mean, that's amazing.
And for you guys going in, you have the semifinal game first. They always say that's the hardest game when it comes to the playoffs. So what's the mindset that you're hoping to carry into this game with this team to make that push to the state championship game?
We just want to play very consistent, you know, come out with a lot of energy and just never drop, never really let off on the gas, just always keep going, just play with a lot of energy and just keep that moving forward.
Are you guys ready to bring it home?
Oh, yeah!
And Katie now is joined with the two seniors' parents. Katie?
You know, this is just as big of a deal for the kids as it is for moms and dads. Am I right?
Okay, so that's good. Y'all saw my part. That's kind of what we're watching. So with that one, with a lot of the live interviews, it takes, like any story that you're working on, it takes a lot of planning. This took about a week and a half of me planning with the athletic director to make sure, one, can we get people there? Because God knows trying to get any teenager or anybody our age up at 5 a.m. is tough. So we had to make sure that students and the players were going to be there. Luckily, they had to leave on their bus, so either way, they had to be there pretty early. So it all worked out. But it took, hey, what's the story behind this program? How significant is them making it to state? Have they won it before? Just different questions that you're asking, so that way you can all put that in for just those two questions, just asking several questions beforehand and having that research ready on tap, so that way you can pull those out for the live interviews. It's all a part of it. So it's a lot of planning, a lot of making sure that you have, one, your facts straight, two, that you are talking to the correct people and making sure that you're asking the right questions for your interviewee. Because that's the thing, you could have a volleyball player and then you could ask them, or you could ask maybe, I don't know, if I were to take one, if I have somebody that's talking about medicine and then you ask them on some random thing that's not about medicine, you get the point. It's just making sure you know who you're talking to as well. So it takes a lot of prep for these. And it's only 2 minutes of television. That's the thing. This whole segment of me actually being on most of the time on most of my live interviews, it's for 2 minutes, a half hour. And it takes a hell of a lot of planning. And that's usually what this industry is all about in terms of when you're putting stories together. It's all about preparation. Mm-hmm. So
6:46, it's a big day for...
I want to play that again. So if I move on. So this is this is one of the pre-recorded things that I was talking about. It's called a VOSOT. So all it is me going to gather video, that B-roll that I was talking about, the extra video, and then capturing an interview. And all it is, instead of putting together a full story for it, where I cut up and I do a voice track and everything like that, I have a script on hand ready for me to go, and I present it live. And I'll toss into what's called the SOT. So the VO, that's video. SOT is sound on tape. Sound on tape is just an interview. When you have somebody talking onto the camera, that's what a SOT is. So I'll have a script ready all when I'm on camera, when we're in the video, and then I'll toss into the sound, and then I'll have extra video on the end, and then I'll come back on camera. So you guys will see an example of this. And this one, let me say, this one was not research. This was just a special case, but I really like this VOSOT that I did. This was called Man on the Street. So MOS, Man on the Street. You just find anybody to talk to. And luckily, this was probably one of my favorite MOSs that I've ever grabbed. So I'll let you guys just hear the story.
Sabres are bringing a new kind of excitement that the city hasn't seen in a while from this team.
They ended last season just a couple points shy of the playoffs, but many of you believe this could be the year where the team breaks their playoff 12-season drought. 7 News reporter Adam Campos live outside the KeyBank Center this morning. Adam, I know you spoke with some fans. What makes this year so promising for them?
Good morning, Ed and Katie. That's right. They're excited. And right now, it's quiet around the KeyBank Center right now. The doors are locked, but once these doors get open, fans are going to flood the arena, pack the streets as the Sabres open up their 2023 season with a matchup against the New York Rangers. And fans have been talking all offseason about this talented young squad. And at this point, they're just ready to see them hit the ice. And yesterday, fans were picking up some last-minute gear for tonight's game. And I got the chance to speak with one fan. Ben Hashy. Now, check this out. He's from Brunswick, Canada, and has been a Sabres fan for 53 years. He and his wife got into Buffalo yesterday, and their first stop off the plane was the Sabres shop. Tonight will be the first game he's ever attended, and he said he's looking forward to being at KeyBank Center with other Sabres fans.
So where I live in East Coast Canada, it's Montreal, it's Toronto, there's some Boston fans. Nobody wears a Buffalo Sabre jersey but me. So being here with my people, around people that are going to feel the same, that have that enthusiasm for this team, yeah, it's really exciting.
And after I spoke with them, I asked them to show me just a few of the items they got from the store. They left with a jersey, a gift for their grandson, the hat that Ben was wearing, and a pennant of Ben's favorite player growing up, Gilbert Perreault. Ben's wife, Jeanette, told me he's been looking forward to this day for a very long time, and she's just happy to see him in his element as a fan and getting the chance to live out a childhood dream. Now, the game starts tonight at 7 o'clock with the doors opening to the public at 6. But before all that happens, at 5 o'clock, the Buffalo Common Council will be honoring the late Rick Jeanneret with the trailblazing sign right outside the arena. And fans and the public are encouraged to attend the event. And Katie?
You see all that stuff those fans got. Money ain't no thing for them.
That was like Mary Poppins bad. They just kept like pulling more stuff out of it. All right, Adam, thank you.
Cool. So that's an example of that. It's not one of those prep like research things. Like I said, that one just happened to be something that I grabbed just randomly. I'll tell this backstory to it. I was trying to talk to some other people, and one lady, she was walking out of the store. She's like, oh, like it's my birthday, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, perfect. You could be on TV for it too. And she was like, nah, I'm good. And then the guy's wife that I actually interviewed, she's like, it's his first game in 53 years. Like, interview him. And it all worked out. So that was a really cool story that I got to do. It got pushed on socials and all that. And people in Buffalo, other Sabres fans, were welcoming them to Buffalo. And they were saying, oh, have fun tonight. Enjoy your first game. So that was a really cool, like, heartfelt story. Then, what did I do? Let's go. No. There we go. So this next one is, can you see it?
No, not yet.
Bear with me. There we go. Cool. So this next one is, if you guys are planning on entering broadcast journalism and you're planning on entering the industry, one, you may start as a morning reporter. Not sure. It all depends on your station and what they need. But most people, when they start, they are putting together what's called a package every day. So 5 days a week, you're being assigned to a story. You're setting up interviews, and you're shooting the video, doing all the steps that need to take to be able to make a package. One of my roommates, she's one of the weekend reporters, and she also she went with me to Syracuse, and that's what her responsibility is every day, is to make one of these. For the morning, it's a little bit different because, like I said, either I could be doing the live interviews, I could be doing the live bow shots, and my packages typically run longer than what a regular day side reporter would run. So most like 4, 5, 6 o'clock newscasts, maybe even 11 o'clock stories will run anywhere from 1:30 to 1:40, a minute 30, a minute 40. My stories run anywhere from 2:15 to 3 minutes. So because morning content is a lot different than what you would see in during the evening shows or the night shows, they had me make longer pieces. So I will go ahead and play this. And this is, I will tell y'all, this story is a good story for you guys just to know, not only now while you're at DVC, but when you guys get ready to transfer, this will be good. It's a financial aid story, and this helped me a lot.
It is 6:33, and we're helping you make ends meet this morning. Debt on the minds of a lot of college graduates as those student loan repayments are resuming. For students, though, they're starting to weigh their options on how they afford school.
The process of applying for financial aid can be really hard, whether you're a high school senior or someone who's looking to continue their education. Our 7 News reporter Adam Campos speaking with some financial aid experts to help you through the process. Hey, Adam.
Good morning, Ed and Katie. This is a process I am all too familiar with as a recent college grad. So I want to help you make ends meet while also presenting the voices of all involved with the financial aid process. This morning, you'll hear from a family who just recently went through the application process, an admissions rep from Buffalo State, and the founder of a platform that offers guidance on college finances. Good morning to the Cuppies. I reached out on Second Cup and Facebook to see if a family would talk about their experience with financial aid.
That's how I met Sandy and Elizabeth Schilling, a mom and daughter from Tonawanda. Elizabeth described her experience with FAFSA.
I found it was pretty easy. I think FAFSA does a really good job at breaking it down.
Elizabeth's mom says she filled out the entire application herself.
Let your student take the lead. Let them learn their deadlines, let them learn all the information that they have to have, because again, they're going to have to.
Now, after 1 year of familiarizing herself with FAFSA, the process is changing. The old opening date was October 1st. This year, the new date is set for sometime in December with no official date being announced. The application is dropping from 100 questions to 50 questions, removing questions about family assets. I spoke with Buffalo State's Vice President of Enrollment, Dr. Randall Bowen, about the effects the new FAFSA will have on the process.
We typically have our first round of award packages happening right after Thanksgiving, early December. That date now has been pushed back. It's likely not going to happen for us until sometime in January or early February.
Bowen stressed this to families this application season.
I'm going to say lenient with your financial aid offices and understand that we are learning just as they're learning this whole new process. This is the first change with the FAFSA in well over 40 years.
I remember when I was applying to colleges, I needed a little more guidance on how to navigate financial aid. That's when I came across Moss.com on TikTok.
This one is a Google Scholarship for comp-sci students.
Moss.com is a platform that offers guidance to students on college finances. I reached out on one of their posts on TikTok, and the comment led me to the founder and CEO, Amira Yoyawi. We talked about how students can make ends meet, and the first tip is scholarships.
You have a whole year to apply for scholarships. You should be applying to scholarship every single week.
We then talked about the FAFSA process. She emphasized the stress of filling it out is worth it to get that first aid package. After the first package, the process doesn't stop there.
You can negotiate with your college. So instead of it costing $50,000, actually the college will ask for $30,000, $20,000. We had students whose colleges asked for $0. And so you are able to make a case for yourself to pay less.
According to Moss.com, here's how to appeal. Contact your school's financial aid department about the appeal. Then collect the necessary documents such as an estimated income sheet and your most recent taxes. Write a letter explaining why you need more money, things such as a job layoff or a major unexpected expense. And even after you submit your request, you can go through the appeal process multiple times a year. Yoyawi says don't take no for an answer.
It is important to do it. And I would say, even if you don't win, you should try. And every year you should try that.
From personal experience, I was able to negotiate and get over $20,000 more in additional aid. And because this can be confusing to some, I want to offer my help to you. If you have any questions about the financial aid or negotiation process, you can reach out to me through my email on your screen or on social media. Ed and Katie?
There are so many great resources to help, especially on social media, and the idea is getting this fast and getting it done now.
And there you go. You're hearing from someone who just went through it.
No kidding.
Perfect. So that's what a full package looks like for me and my responsibilities that I would do. And like I said, most day-side reporters, if once you start in this industry, if you plan on going into broadcast, those pieces are what you're going to be putting together on a daily basis. It's just not as long, like I said. Sometimes there may be a story where you have to talk to your producer and be like, hey, I need 230 on this. We need to this is going to tell the full story. Luckily with my producer, we're all working with kind of more on the long form side. And the news industry is changing a lot because typically over a 2-minute package, that used to be like, absolutely not. You cannot do that. But a lot of major companies and a lot of places now, they're going on the idea if it's good storytelling, it's good storytelling. The cool thing about this story, which was really fun to find out, was that my company's script, it's called EW Scripts. They have a national viewing thing it's called Wins of the Week, where our senior director of storytelling for the company receives submissions every week for pretty much the best stories that they had submitted throughout all of our stations throughout the country. And I think we have over 30 stations or something like that. I forget what the number is. But this story for that week won a win of the week. And he talked about the storytelling, the voices that were in it. Who did I talk to? Again, getting the perspective from a family that just went through it, getting the perspective of a professional, And also too, on that idea, I know a lot of you guys probably, when you were applying for financial aid, you guys weren't just solely depending on your parents or your own knowledge or your school. You were depending on looking and doing outside research. And this site, Moss.com, I remember they helped me. So just doing something as simple as reaching out on social media and stuff like that, that can help you find a great source for a story. So there are so many different ways that you can actually put a story together. And what I really like about this piece is the fact that it really was a multimedia piece, from the fact that I had my own video, I had my own interviews, I had other sources that I was able to use, and also too the fact that I used TikTok. You would have never thought TikTok would be a place that you could find an interview source, and that worked. So that was pretty cool to be able to get that together. Don't want to play that again. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit, as Professor Earley, when we were talking about all this, and what I wanted to present to you guys was just talk a little bit about my time at DVC. I know for a lot of us, community college was not the first choice. I don't see the whole room right now, but I guarantee you, if I had everybody kind of.
Can can everyone mute themselves, because there's some background noise going on? Okay, go ahead. Sorry about that.
You're good. No worries. I can guarantee you, for a lot of us right now that are at DVC, that it wasn't our first choice. It might have been. Who knows? But I know a lot of people that I talked to when I was at DVC, it wasn't the first choice. And it kind of sucked at first. I'm not going to lie. Because the whole expectation is to go to a 4-year right out of high school. And you see your other friends going to a 4-year. But don't worry about that. My time at DVC acted like a second chance for me. I graduated from Syracuse, and I got denied from there because I tried applying with a 3.0. I was lucky to be able to transfer there, because at DVC, I finished at DVC with a 3.9. So it really gave me a second chance. And during that time, it really is you versus you. When you go to DVC and all of college, honestly, it's just a matter of, do you want to put in the work to be able to better yourself? Do you want to make the time commitments that you need to in order to better yourself? Do you want to do what you need to do to take care of business? And DVC really allowed me to kind of buy into, hey, let me get shit done. That's really what it is. It allowed me to practice the better habits that I needed. It left me a lot better with my academic habits. It left me mentally prepared, one, to leave home, and also two, it left me in a better mental state as a student, since I was able to kind of find that way, or the ways that work for me academically, in terms of studying, in terms of writing, whatever it may be. So in that last comment that I leave, you'd be surprised when you look back at your time at DVC, how much you're actually going to grow as a student. So again, I know for a lot of us, not the first choice, but trust me, buy into it, take care of business while you guys are there, because what you guys are going to be able to do once you move on from DVC, I can guarantee you, if you buy into it, you're going to be doing some great things. And that kind of leads me into the advice for the industry. I'm going to kind of skip over the first few so I could talk about it. Stay patient and proactive. Just keep making sure that you are doing what you need to in order to set yourself up for success. It's the same way in college. That's the same way for everything. Because one, don't worry about what other people are doing. You have to worry about you. Your time will come. And like I said, I had no type of experience with journalism, with broadcast, or anything. So when I got to Syracuse, I was like, they were naming all these terms like the VOSOT, B-roll, whatever it was. I'm like, what the hell are y'all talking about? I didn't know anything. And I had people looking at me crazy, like, how is this kid at this school? And I remember I felt it too. And some people, they straight up told me, like, yeah, we were kind of confused how you were a junior and didn't know any of that. So, and now look, I'm working in Buffalo, and I got an internship at CNN, and I'm really lucky to be in the position that I am. But it's all about staying patient and just knowing, if you put in the work, it's gonna pay off, and your time will come for you to be able to do it. When it comes to more in the industry, network. I cannot stress this enough. It is a huge industry, but everybody knows everybody. And when I say that, I'm talking when I was applying to internships, just in the Walt Disney company alone, at different local stations, there was an alum from my school at all those stations. And I'm talking Houston, I'm talking San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, Washington, or not Washington, D.C. Where else? I think those were the main 5. Fresno, that was another place. And all those people, especially one person that I know at KGO in the Bay Area, she knows my friend's dad, who's a news director in Boston. And she knew somebody that she worked with at CNN back in the 80s that I connected with. And that's just a small sample size. Everybody knows everybody. So if you network and you connect with the right people and you utilize your alumni base to whatever school you go to, that is going to help you make strides in this industry. That's going to help you make those jumps to bigger markets, to bigger opportunities, and to getting in ultimately into that dream position that you may want. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. I cannot stress that enough. Be curious, ask questions, try new things. I remember when I was in my interview for this job here at WKBW, I straight up they said, when you come in a time where you're under pressure or you may not have your full grasp on something, what do you do in that situation? And I said, I'll ask questions, because I'm not going to let myself just kind of float underneath the radar. And then next thing you know, my work's not getting done. If I don't know what's going on, or I don't know how to do something, or I just don't know something, I ask questions and I make sure that I learn. Because if you're asking questions, you're soaking it up. You're being like a sponge. And that's the best way that you can learn, is by asking questions. And I remember my now assistant news director, then she stopped me in my tracks and she was like, that's the answer that I'm looking for. I like the fact that you ask questions. So whether you're in an internship, even if you're at your job, they will help you out. You want to stay curious in terms of trying those new things, especially during your internships and any freelance opportunities that you may have to join while you're still in college. Try it. I dabbled into print for a little bit. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Wasn't for me. I did the producing internship at CNN. Loved it. It was great. I got to work for a national network. Producing, though, I know it's not for me. But I still learned a lot in all of those, and everything that I did in those 2 jobs. I learned a lot. At school, I produced as well. Oh, and I did on air. So anything that you can try to possibly grasp more knowledge of for the industry and the skills that you need, it will help you. And especially when it comes to broadcast as a reporter, if you know what's happening on the behind the scenes side as a producer, then you have an understanding of what needs to happen as a reporter. And that's huge. And then 4th one, take care of yourself. I know while I say make sure you guys are doing what you need to do, taking care of business, and just kind of grinding it out over these next 2 or 3, 4 years, however many you have in college, at the same time, you got to make sure you take care of yourself. I've learned that very quickly with this job, because 4 a.m. is absolutely brutal. I don't, if any of you guys end up going into the industry, I don't wish this shift on any of you, because it is brutal. And so that means like really just making sure, like when I'm off and I get off, I'm not looking at my work email. I'm not looking at my work phone. I'm making sure I'm going to do things that I enjoy, whether it's go play basketball, go get coffee, whatever it may be. It's the same thing that you guys got to do when you're in school. It's going to be really tempting to want to hit the ground running and to do everything and anything, and to make sure that obviously you want to do well in classes, but at the same time, when you get to your 4 years, and even now when you're at DVC, if you talk to your professor and say, hey, like, I just like right now, I'm kind of going through this period where I'm struggling and stuff like that, whatever. If you communicate all that to them, they'll understand. And if you communicate that to yourself, hey, I need to take a break and make sure that I'm working on my mental and making sure that I'm coming first. Trust me, that's going to make college and that's going to make the professional world a lot easier for you, because then you won't be so uptight to always think, I got to be doing something. I got to be doing something. No, you're going to need a break. So take that break. I don't have this piece of advice in the slideshow because I didn't want to write it out. But I don't know how many people have told me this before I even got into the industry. Don't be an asshole. Just straight, excuse my language, but don't be an ass, because just as you can network with everybody and people can get you to other people that they know to help you move up in the ranks, just as much they can go and tell all those people that they know, hey, this person, they don't work hard, or they talk back, or straight up, they're an asshole. Do not take them into your newsroom. You don't need that. So because of how much everybody knows each other and how small the industry actually is, that's the best piece of advice you can get, because word moves fast. Like I said, my bosses, they know people all over the country. Now me, because that's the thing too. When you eventually graduate to wherever you go, if you decide to enter this industry, all your friends from your major, they're all over the country. I have a friend in Myrtle Beach right now reporting. I have a friend in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I have a friend in Charleston, South Carolina. I have my friends here in Buffalo. I have a friend producing in Austin, Texas. So all of us, we came from Syracuse, but now we're all spread out throughout the country. And now for life, those are people that I'm going to know, that if they know somebody that I may know, they're going to come to me and they're going to ask me, hey, should I hire this person? Like they applied. What should I, like, they say they know you. And if I find out that you're an ass, or I think you're somebody that's not going to be good for the newsroom, I'm not going to ruin my reputation and say, oh yeah, like you should take them. No, I'm going to tell them, I know them. That's all I'm going to say. That's what one of my professors said. That's all he says. And just off of that, they get the message. Got it. Thanks. So word moves fast. Don't be an ass. This one, I tossed this in last minute. This kind of overarches everything for you, motivating yourself. This is what my high school coach used to always said, and that man is a legend. He's one of the greatest basketball coaches in all of the state of California for the high school level. Refuse to lose. It's literally just saying, buy into yourself. There's going to be times, plenty of times, when you're, especially in this industry, where you're feeling, damn, my work is not as good as I expected it to be, or I'm not getting that recognition that I deserve, or I didn't get that position, I didn't get that internship, and I'm seeing all my other friends working at NBC or working at a major market for their internship. Damn, when is that going to happen? Don't think about it that way. Don't worry about everybody else. If you just have the mindset, all right, what do I got to do to get better? What do I got to do to advance my stories from being good to great? What do I got to do to stand out compared to the other applicants for this internship? Whatever it may be that you are trying to pursue, do not quit, because I guarantee you, the more times you fail and the more times you get up, the more times that you are going to eventually have everything work out. And I'm huge on manifesting stuff. I'm huge on speaking it into existence. So if you have that attitude of being, after one denial from an internship or one denial from a school, whatever it may be, and just letting that ride as all you can do, you're not going to move anywhere. So you just got to have that mindset that everything's going to work out. You just got to keep working, making sure that you're taking care of yourself and making sure that you're doing what you need to be able to advance yourself. So refuse to lose. Simple, 3 words. Remember that. And that's my spiel. I'm pretty sure I know my job is talking, but sometimes talking a lot I can take a break. So I'm going to leave this open to you guys now. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, and I will go ahead and leave it open to questions. And whether it's about the industry, whether it's about the transfer process, or my time at DVC, whatever you guys may have. Like I said, I'm 22. I'm literally right there with y'all. I was probably in high school the same time you guys were too. So please, I am an open book on any questions that you guys may have.
That is great. Thank you so much. Can we guys clap? That was really, really good. Yeah. So we're going to open this up for Q&A. It's it's 5 minutes to 12 for us, not for you.
Sorry.
And so let's go ahead and I already see some hands raised. So Adam, if you'd like to call on their name that you see the hand raised, we can go in that order.
Yeah, that works. I see. Perfect. I see Elizabeth, she has her hand up.
Hi. What would you say is the #1 thing you want the non-media public to know about news production?
Ooh, damn. Out the gate. That's a great question. Honestly, I want you to know, let me think about this. We are here to serve. We are here to serve. This may sound like a PR thing, but genuinely, we are here to serve the greater public and the people in our communities, especially on the local news end. I understand that there's some type, especially with national news, like CNN, ABC, obviously people have their perception of it, that it's biased and stuff like that. But if there's anybody that you are going to be listening to get any type of public information from about different things that are happening in your community or that are even happening nationally, listen to your local journalists, because we are the first lines. I saw this quote one time: journalism is the first record of history, because we are the ones on the ground. We are the ones talking to the people in the situations that are happening. We are the ones gathering the information, and we are the ones that are presenting it to you. We literally, for the industry, any stories that we're putting together, especially if you're working as a day reporter, you're becoming an expert in a day. But you're becoming an expert in a day because you want to be sure that you're providing that correct information. You're providing people with the necessities that they need to know, and you're providing people with basic knowledge of a situation that is happening. So you are that first line of anything that may be happening. So I want people to know the fact that you, one, listen to local journalists. You can trust us. That's the best thing that I could say.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right. Anyone else?
I had a question. What is the pros and cons of majoring in journalism?
Pros. If you major in journalism, I can guarantee you that job will translate into any other job that you do. You see a lot of, obviously it depends on what the job is. I can't guarantee that for if you're planning on going into STEM or if you're going into accounting, whatever it may be. But in a lot of other industries, you will see a lot of people, if they're not in the news industry now, they are somewhere high within another industry. So whether they're doing PR, they're doing corporate communications, or they're running a business in general, kind of that organizational skills, that all helps and stuff like that. The writing skills really help. The presentation skills help. So that's one pro that I would say, that you're able to kind of extend out into everything. Pro, if I really want to say it, you're on TV. It's pretty freaking cool. I'm not going to lie. And you get to, and if you like, if I'm thinking just on the basic stuff, you get to go to like if you're a sports reporter, you get to go to these games. If you're even, whether you're a print or your broadcast, if you're print or broadcast, you can go to congressional hearings, you can go to state legislation hearings, you can go to all of those stuff that usually is close to the public. So that's pretty cool. I would say the opportunities and the experiences that you're going to get, that's a huge pro. Cons, you're going to have to grind for the money. It's bottom line. Like, until you are either with a major newspaper or you're with a top 10, top 15 local station, or you're a network, the money's not the best. You are not, and that's the thing, you learn quickly that you're not doing it for the money. You are doing it because you genuinely enjoy being out in the community. You genuinely enjoy presenting new facts and presenting new stories to the general public, and you enjoy it because you are presenting a service. You are providing a service to the people, and it's a very important one. So money, if you really are concerned about money, I will tell you this industry is not for you, because you are going to have to grind to get that money. Another con, it is a grind. Like I said, I have turned, I don't know how many 12, 14-hour days that I have turned. When if breaking news happens, you are expected to be on site. You are expected to be there as long as it needs to be. I had a professor at my school. They said when Hurricane Katrina hit, he was a producer at a station in Jackson, Mississippi. They went commercial free for a week straight, just show segment after segment after segment. So when work calls. You're working holidays. You're not, the time off is kind of hard to get. So there are some people that I know, they've worked 10 straight Christmases because they just don't get the time off, because news is a 24/7 industry. So if you're somebody else that is like, hey, I don't want to be on call all the time, I don't want to commit that much time to my job, this is not the job for you. Those are I would say those are the glaring pros and cons of them. It's fun. If I honestly the biggest pro, it's fun. It's a really different job compared to other jobs, because you're not sitting behind the desk all the time. If you're a reporter, you're going out, you're driving, you're going to different places. So it's fun. But like I said, those two would be the main pros and cons that I know.
Great. Thank you.
Of course. I hope any of this that I'm saying is making sense. So if it does not, please have me repeat it. Go ahead.
So you mentioned earlier in your talk that sometimes you spend your time looking for stories. How do you do that?
Anything could be a story. I shit y'all not. Like, you think it may be something that like you have to be very like you have to get it from your news director, or you have to find it in a certain way. Anything can be a story. How I did the financial aid package, I literally just thought about me. What did I like? It's around that time for college applications and college financial aid. I struggled with it, but these are the things that helped me. How about I do a story on that? That could be a story. You could be on Facebook. You could see somebody post, hey, we're having this food drive. It's helping. It's all the money proceeds are going to be going to veterans, and it's a once a year thing that we do. That's a story right there. Immediately, you talk. Who's the organizer? Who are the people that are volunteering? And who are the people that are going to be benefiting from this? You get those voices. Our station right now is big on, this is kind of sidetracking. Our station right now is big on, we have a campaign called Voices. It's adding every voice possible that you can to a story to be able to tell. There's a difference between that and both sides journalism and telling both sides of a story. It's telling the full picture of the story. Mm-hmm. So, and you can look on Facebook, you find an event, you just look online, you look up like events happening. That could be a story. And a lot of them you're getting fed emails from press releases and stuff like that you'll cover. You'll be here. People will email you and they'll tell you, like, hey, this is happening in this neighborhood. Like, can somebody please check on this because we don't know why this is happening. Then you pitch it to your news directors, and then they're good with it. If they find this is something that they can run a story off of, then they'll run it. So a lot of your responsibility is finding stories and pitching them. Most of our dayside reporters are responsible for 2 to 3 pitches a week. For me as the morning reporter, because of how the shift goes, since I'm not working with the dayside crew, usually I'm left to find all of my stories. So 5 days a week. And obviously it's with the help of with my executive producer, some other reporters. They'll send me stuff. Hey, Adam, like, I can't do this night side, but you could do it in the morning and stuff like that. And it's a team collaboration. But for the most part, most of the responsibility falls on me. And that's the same thing as a reporter. You are the one that has to find the stories. But again, you can make anything a story.
Awesome. Anyone else with a question?
Yeah, as far as networking goes, what has been the most like useful kind of tactic or method that you've used?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the one place where it is not creepy to randomly follow someone. Like, I remember somebody said that to me one time, and I'm like, that's hella true, honestly. Because the thing is with it, because it's a professional platform most of the time. That's the purpose of it. The purpose of it is networking. So if you go onto LinkedIn, say you start even if you're looking for colleges right now, if you search up students at say, if you're looking at Syracuse, I don't know if anybody is, I don't blame you if you're not, it's expensive. But if you're looking at Syracuse, or you're looking at back home, UC Berkeley, Stanford, SF State, those schools, you look for students, connect with the student, be like, hey, I'm a student at DVC and I'm possibly looking to transfer here to USF. I just want to see, can I get some more information about it? How's your experience been? Same thing with an internship. If you're able to connect with a recruiter or something like that, hey, I'm interested in applying to this job or to this internship. What can you tell me about it? If you're looking at once you get into the job field, you're starting to look into other stations or just any place that you're looking to go. You find one of those. If you find somebody that works there, hey, I'm looking at a job here. What can you tell me about it? How's the culture of it? And even if you're just looking for somebody as a mentor. So one person that I've been able to connect with is Dan Ashley from ABC7 Bay Area, KGO. Because I know he's an anchor, he's doing what I want to do. So I just reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm currently, this was when I was a student, like, hey, I'm a student at Syracuse. I'm looking to get into broadcast journalism and become a reporter. What advice can you give me? Can you look over some of my work? So just any type of points of connections with no matter what it is, just to get basic information on it, LinkedIn is a great place because that's the best way that you can directly reach them. And from there, most of the time, most people aren't going to turn down helping somebody that's trying to break into the industry or that's trying to get into a school. So LinkedIn's good. And then also using your alumni network to wherever you transfer, that is huge. People that went to your alumni love to help students that are at the school. They love to help other, like for Syracuse, Orange loves to help Orange. That's our mascot. It's a fruit. It's funny. So Orange loves to help Orange. Trojans for USC love to help Trojans. So wherever you transfer to, or even DVC, both of your schools use your alumni base.
Cool.
Oh, who else?
I know somebody else was about to raise their hand.
Yeah, I had a question. What is the biggest mistake or failure that you've learned from since post-graduation?
Ooh.
Getting personal now.
Luckily, it's been kind of smooth riding. So I'm not gonna lie. Luckily, it's been smooth riding since graduation, and the job's been treating me well. I guess my biggest one is just once you make a mistake, don't make it again. I overslept one day. Holy shit! I had never woken up out of bed so fast, and luckily
that totally counts.
That definitely did. Now that I think about it, that definitely does, because when I tell you I have never ran into that newsroom or gotten out of bed so freaking fast. And that's in general. Just once you make a mistake, learn from that. Don't do it again, because it's once you start repeating mistakes that, one, you're going to start frustrating yourself and you're going to start frustrating your bosses. So it's just, and that's the thing. Don't feel like mistakes aren't going to happen. When you make a mistake or you have a bad time, or I had one rough time on air where I just completely blanked out on my script, and I'm like, I just froze. It wasn't as bad as it was when I watched it back. Mistakes happen. That's the biggest. I guess that's the biggest failure right now, is that you're bound to make mistakes, but just bounce off of them.
So I have a question about, you talked about, you got a little into print news and it wasn't quite your thing. However, as a broadcast journalist, you still have to do writing. It's not as much, but talk about that, because that's still print. It's not print published, but it's print that you have to write.
Yeah, writing's everything in this as a reporter as well, because if you're not a good writer, it's going to be pretty hard to be able to put together creative pieces. And in terms of creating and informational direct writing, if you want to call it that. For your web articles, there's a certain style in journalism called AP style that you have to learn. So it's different than regular essay writing or regular MLA format, whatever it may be. ASA, I know that's the sociology one. So it's a different type of writing that you need to learn. But also too, with broadcast, it really gets into it, because then that's the thing. With print, it's great to have, you still got to do web articles, and it's just great to have that skill, because you're going to need it ultimately. And that's eventually what leads into people that, if they leave the industry, since they're good writers for digital and they're good writers for print, they take that skill on for press releases and stuff like that. But for broadcast, you still got to be a good writer, obviously, because it gives more creativity, and it's able to help like make your packages better and your stories better. But it dumbs down. It's a whole different style of writing. You're writing as if you're talking to somebody. So once you start putting in all these like extra stuff into it, it kills the story. I'm kind of sidetracking. Say the question one more time.
No, that's good. Just basically that you were talking about print was not really for you, but you do a lot of writing anyway for your broadcast.
Yeah, you do a lot of writing. So either way, if you dabble into print a little bit, it's good, because one, you'll have that foundation for AP style writing, and just in general, it's going to help you become a better writer for whatever you're working on. And also too, it's that same idea of whether you want to be a producer or a reporter. If you know what's happening on one side, it's going to benefit you on the other. So if you know how to put together a story by writing, it's going to help you be able to visually put together a story, because when you're writing, you're visually thinking, how am I going to write this? Like in your head, you're like, what would make the most sense and stuff like that. And that's the same thing as if you're on video. What video makes the most sense for me to be able to tell this story? So it all the skills transfer in with each other anytime you do it.
So do you do your own editing or video editing? And where did you learn that skill?
School. learned it at school. That's one thing there. If you get into broadcast, they're going to teach you that, obviously. Like, that's a huge part of it. If you don't know, because there's a certain style of editing. It's not just putting clips together and then that's it. You're shooting in sequences. That's a whole nother thing. I'm not even going to get into that. But bottom line, you will learn how to shoot for broadcast. And right now, with how the industry is going, they're cutting a lot of cameramen, camera persons. If I want to use the correct terminology, if I really want to use the industry terminology, they're cutting a lot of photographers. So it's one-man band. You're doing the job of 3 people, because most of the times you have a photographer with you and they shoot and edit your video, and they shoot the interview and they gather the other video that you have. You just write the script, conduct the interviews, and you give it to them for them to be able to finish the piece. But now the industry standard is you have to be able to do that job of photographer, the job of the journalist and the reporter, and then on the website you have to be able to do the job as a digital producer. So all of it, it's kind of highway robbery. I'm not going to lie. The fact that we don't get paid as much as we should, and we're doing the job of 3 people. Again, whole nother story. But yeah, you're a one-man band.
Yeah. Any other questions, students?
As far as the VOSOTs go, what is the process of pitching those, or like the approval process that's involved with those?
So I like you using the terminology already. That's cool. So it's same thing as any other story that you were to pitch. So like with that story that I did, again, that was a man on the street. That's not the best example to use. But if it were one that I actually like pitched and put together, that took research and that took actual preparation for it. One story that I just did yesterday was on RSV medication across the country. There's a shortage for infants, and that's something that we were talking about as a team from our morning show. So one of our producers had mentioned it, and they said like, oh yeah, my sister, they weren't able to get the medicine for their kid because they said there's a shortage. That was the first time any of us had heard for a shortage. So just right then and there in conversation, it's like, hey, we should get some sound on it. We can do a story. And they left that, since I'm the reporter, they said, Adam, see if you can find some stuff and everything like that. So automatically I'm looking up, is there a shortage happening across the country? Is there anything happening locally with that? Who can I talk to? I talked to a pediatrician. So it's just thinking about, you can talk to an infectious disease doctor. It's just a matter of kind of figuring out what's the story, who can I talk to, how can I present it? It's the same way as if you were putting together a package. Just think about a VOSOT as a package broken down. Same process, just shorter. So that's the long answer of it. But that's ultimately the thought process in any story that you're putting together is the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, why.
And how.
And how. And the age.
So quick question also, swearing. Profanities. So can you, does the FCC have regulations, and have you ever like slipped out a profanity word, and does the station have to pay a fine for that? How does that all work?
I wouldn't have a job telling you all this right now if I did slip out a cuss word. So no, I have not. But there are regulations, and you will learn about all this in your communications law courses. So if you guys, whether you end up in the industry or not, if you end up in the communications field, you will learn all of this in communications law, especially in broadcast. The FCC, they are very strict with their rules. I think the time period is anywhere from like 11 o'clock to 5 a.m. that you're not allowed to have any type of profanity or any type of, oh my God, what's the word? Now I'm trying to get into deep terminology for law. Obscenities. You're not allowed to have indecency or obscenities in specific times. So any time, I think the basis of it is, or like the requirement, any time that kids might be awake. So from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., can't have that.
Oh, wow. Did not know. Also,
yeah, go ahead.
Facial hair and tattoos. I noticed on your segments, you've got your beard going, sporting all that. Has that changed in the industry, or it's okay to have a beard and stuff? And also, what about if you have tattoos and stuff? I know you don't, but I'm just saying visibly.
And I have a tattoo on my leg, and they were able to see that. They didn't see anything. I don't know too many reporters that do have tattoos in general, so you won't see it a lot. But the industry really is changing from that like I wear jeans on air sometimes. I'll wear just a t-shirt, a station t-shirt. Like it's really changing in terms of the flexibility of what you can do on air. I've worn just straight athletic gear on air too. But if it's appropriate for the story, you're going to do that. Like you're not going to show up to like I did a story on a basketball camp, and I did a story at pickleball courts or a baseball training facility. I'm not going to show up in a suit and tie. I'm not going to show up in pants either. I'm gonna be comfortable, and I'm gonna make sure I can perform the job as best as I can while being comfortable. So the industry has really changed in terms of holding those standards of like looks and beauty. If you want to say natural hair for a lot of people of color, that's fine now. If you have a news director that is doing that to you, you probably shouldn't work there.
Students, more questions? Chris, you got a question? I've got more. Oh, the celeb factor. Do people like notice you on the street now, and how does that go?
I've only had it twice so far. And it's trippy. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of trippy. So it was the most random place to. I was going to an orthopedic appointment because I've had some issues with my hip that I just had to get taken care of. And the receptionist, she comes out, she's to get ready to take like my copay and stuff like that. And get all my insurance down. And she was like, "You look really familiar." And mind you, I'm not from Buffalo, so I'm like, no, I don't know where you would know me from. And she was like, "Huh, like I feel like I've seen you before. I don't know." And then I waited until we got into like her room and stuff like that. I'm like, "Do you watch Channel 7?" She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "That's why." And she's like, "Oh my God, you're the morning reporter. I watch you guys all the time." It's a pretty cool feeling, but it's not like, and the thing is, I will say, it's not like I'm expecting people to recognize me, but now you kind of have that idea. Anytime you go in public, I'm like, holy shit, somebody could just walk up to me and be like, "Hey, I saw you on TV, blah, blah, blah," and stuff like that. Because especially to our longtime anchors, it happens to them a lot. So, because Buffalo is a very traditional news market, and people love if they have a specific anchor they love them. So yeah, it definitely is a thought in the back of your head now. It's like I could possibly, especially in like high where there's a lot of people. I don't know what I was going to say there. Where there's a lot of people, like grocery stores and stuff like that. It's in the back of your head, like, okay, somebody may come up to me, but it's not like you're sitting there like, oh, I want somebody to recognize me.
That's awesome. That's great. Students, anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I actually do have a question. What made you want to study journalism?
I'd always been interested in sports. That was one thing, like as an athlete, I always knew, okay, how can I stay in sport? If I don't play professionally or I don't play overseas, whatever, if I don't keep playing, how can I stay into it? And I like to talk, as you kind of can tell through the Zoom, I can talk a lot. And kind of just knowing the fact that reporters get to be around it 24/7, that's what triggered me into being like, when I learned that you can stay at a ballpark or stay at a stadium all day as your job, I'm like, perfect. I love that. That's what I want to do. And I just kind of rode with it from there. And then more and more, as I was learning and doing research about broadcast journalism and actually what went into it, and once I actually started doing it, I'm like, I can definitely see me doing this. So everybody has their own reasons as to why they get into it. Some people may just straight up be, I just want to be on television, or I want to work in production. But yeah, that was mine, is that it started with my love for sports, and then kind of just trickled into me like really finding a love for television itself.
Nice.
Thank you.
Elizabeth.
Oh, so with regards to having to get up at 2:30 to do the morning broadcast, how do you maintain self-care with that? Like, I have a friend who just started a job as a 911 operator, and the night shift is just brutal, but she doesn't have to do it every single day. Like that, does that like rearrange your entire daily routine?
Oh, 100%. Oh, I'll be like, there's some days where I'll get out of work and I'm like, okay, I could go do some stuff. I'll go work out. I'll go take care of like my chores and grocery shopping. I'll do laundry, do whatever. And then there are some days I get home from work, I'm just knocked out for the rest of the day. Like that's what I mean. Like this shit, I don't wish this shift on anybody. Like one of my roommates right now, I live with 3 coworkers. One of them is my morning show producer. they get in at 10:30 at night and work until 7 in the morning. They have the real overnight, and she's asleep right now. So like her days are technically at night, and her nighttime is during the day. So it doesn't. You just kind of figure it out. Like I said, it's not a matter. It's brutal no matter what. I can't sugarcoat it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
then hold on, Audrey had her hand up.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Audrey.
I was just wondering if like when going into DVC and before you got to Syracuse, did you switch your major like at all, or were you always kind of going towards the path of journalism?
I had always known in the back of my head that I was going to go into broadcasting, into journalism and stuff like that. So I didn't switch my major or anything. Yeah, that's probably that's the simplest way I could do it. I didn't change it. I always knew. But I mean, again, that's another thing too about DVC. If you were never sure on what you wanted to, like, did you know what you wanted to come into? See, exactly. So that you're using that as another time to be able to figure it out. And like, one, you're knocking out all your general eds too. That's good. You're not going to have to worry about that. Trust me, you're not going to have to worry about those once you get to your 4 year. You're going to want to just focus on your major stuff, and it allows you to focus on your major stuff. And that's the thing too. Biggest thing is that your time there is going to help you figure out what you want to do. You're able to explore new things. You're able to explore new clubs and stuff like that. So I would just say, really, if you're in that position right now that you don't know anything of what you want to do, or you don't have an idea, take this time to really figure that out. And I guarantee you will. Most people after 2 years, they do have a pretty good grasp. And also too, when you're applying to schools, you have to apply for a major anyways. So like when I applied, I had to apply as broadcast and digital journalism. I couldn't apply undecided. So you'll figure it out eventually.
Any other students with questions?
How was it transferring out of state? Like, was that process kind of complicated, or did it go okay for you?
Luckily for me, it went okay. One tip I can give you guys: any schools that you guys are starting to look at right now, if you guys because it's around. I started looking at schools March my freshman year, but that's because I started talking about what requirements are you looking for, because I know the advisors can be messy to work with at DVC. Had my experiences with them. So definitely it's making sure you're in contact with your school. That's the best way you can do it. Be in direct contact with your school. For the UCs and the CSUs, it's a little bit easier because they have the transfer agreements and stuff like that. Out of state, it's a little bit more complicated because you don't know what those requirements are, and you're not able to get a guide of what classes are going to transfer to what. What my advisor told me is that if you apply private, most classes will transfer over. And that was the case for me. I was able to transfer. I will say classes from junior college to 4 years are a lot easier than going from a 4 year to another 4 year. So you guys are in luck for that. You shouldn't have too many issues. Again, it's just a matter of you staying on top of it. Don't really rely on your advisors to help you out, because when it comes to private schools, especially out of state, then you got to make sure that you're in constant communication with the school, because then they could tell you. Because I remember I was going to take more journalism classes at DVC, and they're like, you can't transfer in more than 12, and ultimately we don't want you taking more than 12. Or for my minor, for sociology, I was only able to transfer in 1. I took 2 at DVC, but that's just stuff that you have to take the time to figure out with your specific major when you start applying to schools and you start looking at these schools.
Awesome. Do you miss the Bay Area, and how often do you come back? And I mean, there's definite weather changes, on Buffalo to sunny California.
Yeah. The winters, you just kind of got to do them. Am I going to bitch and complain? Yes, that's no question about it. But it's fun. I will say that's the cool thing about this industry too. You're going to go to places that you would never think that you would go to. I know somebody reporting in Nebraska. They're freaking loving it. Same thing. South, especially coming from the Bay Area, you would never think you would touch the South. Being in Atlanta, granted, Atlanta is a whole different world compared to the rest of the South, but I would have never thought I would enjoy living in the South, in that geographic area. I loved Atlanta. I have friends that live in South Carolina. That one's from New York. She loves South Carolina. one from the Bay Area as well. She lives in Texas now. She loves Texas. So that's the cool thing about it. If you do end up transferring out of state, you're going to, one, meet people from other states as well, especially if you transfer all the way across the country. You're going to have friends spread all throughout the country now. And also, too, you're just going to get the opportunity to see different places that you would have never thought you would see. And especially with this industry, again, you're constantly on the move. So, like, already after this, after my contract, I only have a year contract in Buffalo. I'm already looking at where I'm going to be moving to next. So you're going to have the opportunity to really check out a lot of different places throughout the states, and it's pretty cool.
Great. Do you see yourself going into producing in the future, possibly, or?
Oh, not at all. I'm writing out the reporting. So, and the reporting will eventually lead me. You start as a reporter and you work your way up to an anchor. A lot of people now, it's anchor reporter. So you'll do 3 days on one, or 2 days on one, 3 days on the other. That's a popular mix of the position. So, so yeah, I'm sticking with the on air, and I eventually want to work my way up to becoming an anchor. And my ultimate goal is to work my way back home. So to answer the other part of the question, I do miss the Bay. And luckily, if you guys do decide to go into journalism, and you guys do eventually want to come back home, we're the number 6 or number 8 market in the country. 1, make some damn good money. 2, you get to be working at home, and it's a really fun job to be able to do at home.
And you kind of touched on this. The difference between an anchor and a reporter is?
Simplest way I could put it, anchor is the one that is talking to you on the television in studio. The reporter is the one that is out in the field, and the one that is putting together the different stories. So you see the anchor is the one that you see the most on a newscast, and the reporter is the one that you kind of see just chime in a little bit.
Excellent. Excellent. Good. Students, any more questions? I know that earlier you talked about that FAFSA report, which is really timely because I saw it actually on the news this morning as well, about the 100 questions now dwindling down to, I thought I heard them say less than 20, but your reporting said 50. And I noticed that at the end of that segment, you had posted your email address. Did you get bombarded with a ton of emails after that segment?
Not too much, but I had a few people reach out to me on Facebook and stuff like that, be like, hey, like, we're doing this, blah, blah, blah. Can you talk me through it and stuff like that? So it all depends on really who's in need and stuff like that, who needs it. And I still left in my web article. So it may not be that time yet. I may have people reach out once it gets closer to December, like, hey, how'd you do this? So it's out there. So they got it. So, yeah. And I know it's pretty soon because I'm looking at the time. I know you guys kind of have to go soon. So I'm just leaving my contacts in for everybody.
Oh, good. So you guys can screenshot that or take a picture of it, and then I could give it to them to your email address. If you want to ask him some more questions and you want to network, because that is key, like he brought up, that is so good. Any final thoughts or questions, or even just your thoughts that you want to tell Adam?
Just wanted to say thank you for doing this. It's been informative.
Absolutely, it's fun, and I feel like one of the biggest things, I'm getting ready to do another thing like this at Buffalo State University, a local school here. I literally just went through this whole process. Like I can relate to y'all way better than a lot of other like industry people that were coming in because I just did it. So I'm really happy to be able to do this for you guys, to offer any guidance. Like I said, there's a reason I'm leaving my contact. Don't hesitate to reach out at any time, whether it's text. I'll straight up tell y'all, text will be easier because I'll most likely see that. I'm on my phone a lot more than I am checking my email. So reach out anytime you guys have questions about anything. I'm open.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam, for that.
Yeah, thank you as well. That was some really good advice in there too. So thank you.
I'm glad I was of help. That's what I hope. I hope you guys were able to learn a little bit, get kind of maybe for, what was her name, Audrey, maybe now you want to go into journalism. Hey, you're hearing from someone straight up. So glad I could be of help to y'all.
And thank you so much for your time, because like you just worked this morning, you've been up since whatever this morning, and thank you for carving out some time for my students today, and thank you for being my student in the past, and stay in touch, because you know, maybe another semester or a few semesters down the road we'll have you back again.
Let me know.
You're available. And yeah, so thank you, students, for being here and asking some amazing questions for Adam. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and end it now, and yay.
All right, yeah, great meeting all of you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Adam. Really
Absolutely.
appreciate it.
You got all my contacts now. You can keep me on the Rolodex. Just let me know anytime you
Thank you.
anytime you need
Yes.
something, just let me know. I
You
like
know,
to pay it back.
I don't know if you know of we still have a student here. I don't know if you know of Leslie Griffith. She was Channel 2 news in the Bay Area for over 30 years.
Yes.
She passed away last year, and I think it was last year, or was it earlier this year? I don't, she was a really, really good close friend of mine, and I actually dreamt of her last night. I was like, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna have another you know, news reporter broadcast on there. But yeah, so that was like special.
Crazy.
Yes. Yeah, stay in touch. Stay in touch.
I'm sorry.
Vitaly, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to skip the first part.
That's okay.
How do I get the recording of this meeting?
I will be uploading the recording later, so hopefully today or tomorrow. Latest.
Okay. Thanks a
Did you
lot.
have a question for Adam?
No.
Okay. All right. So look for the recording later. Okay.
Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye. Anyway, so yeah, stay in touch, and thank you again. I really appreciate this.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Okay. Talk to you
All right,
later. Have a good day.
Take care. You too.
Okay. Bye.